30 seconds. That's how long it took for Docker Service LS to return a context deadline exceeded error after losing 2 of 4 manager nodes. The cluster was alive but brain dead, no deployments, no routing mesh. Here's exactly why. Welcome to TheCodeForge. Before we dig into that production issue, let's cover Docker Swarm basics. Docker Swarm is Docker's native clustering solution, bundled directly into the Docker engine. It turns a pool of hosts into a single logical server. You define services declaratively, and Swarm handles scheduling, scaling, networking, and maintaining desired state across the cluster. Swarm nodes split into managers and workers. Managers run the Raft consensus algorithm to maintain cluster state. Workers just execute tasks. The Raft group requires a majority quorum to function. With 3 managers, you can lose 1. With 5, you can lose 2. Never use an even number. Raft consensus requires a majority of managers to agree on state changes. The leader proposes changes, replicates them to followers, and commits once quorum is reached. With 4 managers, quorum is 3, you can still only lose 1 manager, same as with 3. The 4th node is wasted. Let's walk through bootstrapping a swarm cluster. Initialize the first manager, then join additional managers and workers using tokens. Always drain manager nodes so they don't run application workloads. Verify the cluster with Docker node ls. Initialize the swarm on the first manager. The advertiser is the IP other nodes use to reach this manager. Then get the join tokens for managers and workers. Join additional managers using the token. Verify the manager count with Docker node ls. Then drain all managers to prevent workloads from running on them. Managers are dedicated to orchestration. A swarm service is a declarative specification of desired state. The scheduler assigns tasks to nodes using a spread algorithm by default. You can add placement constraints and resource limits to control where and how containers run. Here's a production-grade service deployment. We set resource limits, a constraint to avoid managers, a placement preference to spread across zones, and attach it to an overlay network. The limit memory flag prevents a single container from starving others. Swarm uses overlay networks based on VXLAN to allow containers on different hosts to communicate. The ingress routing mesh load balances incoming traffic across all nodes. For latency-sensitive services, use host mode publishing to bypass the extra hop. Create an overlay network with encryption for cross-data center deployments. Then deploy a service on that network. The opt-encrypted flag adds ISEC encryption to VXLAN traffic, which is important for untrusted networks. Swarm's rolling update mechanism replaces old containers with new ones incrementally. Use update order start first for 0 downtime. Always set update failure action rollback, so a broken update doesn't take down the entire service. Deploy with health checks and a start period to allow the app to initialize. The update configuration updates 2 tasks at a time with a 10-second delay. If the new version fails health checks, Swarm automatically rolls back. Docker Swarm provides built-in secrets management. Secrets are encrypted in the Raft log and mounted as files inside containers. They are immutable, so to rotate a secret, you create a new version and update the service. Create a secret from stdin, then attach it to a service. The secret is mounted as a file at /run/secrets/db password. Never use environment variables for secrets. They are visible in Docker inspect. A service is the declarative spec, what you want to run. A task is a running instance of that service. Tasks are ephemeral, they fail and get rescheduled. Always tag your logs with the task ID and service name, not the container name. Here's a compose file defining a service. Note the logging tag uses name and id. These are the service name and task ID. This ensures logs are traceable even after tasks are rescheduled. This is the same issue we highlighted at the start. Here's exactly why that happened. A team added a 4th manager for extra capacity during a holiday sale. When 2 managers went offline for routine patching, only 2 remained. With 4 managers, quorum is 3, so the cluster lost quorum and froze. No deployments, no scaling, no health checks for 3 hours. The fix was to demote one offline manager to worker using Docker node demute, reducing the manager count to 3. With 3 managers, quorum is 2, and the 2 surviving managers could form quorum. Then a worker was promoted to restore the manager count to 3. The rule: always use an odd number of managers. A common mistake is adding a 4th manager for extra capacity. But with 4 managers, quorum is 3, you can still only lose 1 manager. The 4th node adds cost without improving fault tolerance. Always use 3 or 5. For services with slow startup, like JVM apps or those running migrations, the health check may fail before the app is ready. Set health start period to the expected startup time plus a buffer to avoid unnecessary rollbacks. Joining a 4th manager created an even-numbered cluster. When 2 managers failed, quorum was lost. Always use 3 or 5 managers, never 4. Without resource limits, a single misbehaving container can consume all memory on a node, causing the kernel to OOM-kill other containers. Always set limit memory and limit CPU on production services. If UDP port 4789 is blocked by firewalls, VXLAN encapsulation fails, and containers on different hosts cannot communicate. Always ensure this port is open between all nodes in the cluster. Secrets are immutable. When rotating, you must remove the old secret and add the new one in the same update command. Otherwise, the old secret remains mounted and the app continues using it. Swarm's Raft log can grow unboundedly, consuming disk space and slowing leader elections. Production clusters should monitor the log size via Docker system DF and consider periodic log compaction by promoting a new manager or restarting the Docker daemon on managers during maintenance windows. When quorum is lost and a failed manager cannot be recovered, you can force a new cluster by demoting the dead manager and promoting a worker. This snippet shows the manual recovery steps after a 4-manager cluster loses 2 nodes. If Autolock is enabled, the unlock key is required after any manager daemon restart. Store the key in a secure vault, e.g., HashiCorp Vault, and automate unlocking with a script. Losing the key means you cannot recover the cluster without reinitializing. To debug quorum issues, run Docker node ls on each manager. If fewer than quorum managers show reachable, the cluster has lost quorum. Also check overlay network peers to ensure VXLAN connectivity. Always monitor manager count and quorum health proactively. Let's run through some common interview questions. What is the Raft quorum formula? Floor n/2 plus 1. Why should manager count be odd? Even numbers waste a node without improving fault tolerance. How do you rotate a secret in Swarm? Create new version, update service with secretrm and secretad. And a few frequently asked questions. Can I run 2 managers in production? No, 2 managers cannot survive a single failure. Quorum is lost. What ports must be open for Swarm? TCP 2377, TCP UDP 7946, UDP 4789. How do I update a service without downtime? Use update order start first and health checks. To recap, always use an odd number of managers. Never run application workloads on managers. Set resource limits on all services. Use health checks with auto rollback. And remember, secrets are immutable. Rotate them by removing the old and adding the new. Ready to go deeper? Up next, optimizing Docker images, then Docker networking deep dive, then Docker containerization explained, 2026 guide. Find them all at TheCodeForge.io. Thanks for watching. The full article and code examples are covered in detail at TheCodeForge.io.